There's no two ways about it. Amazon FBA product research at times is tiring, boring, and it will often lead you to question whether doing Amazon FBA is worth it at all. So in this video, what I'm going to be doing is running through 5 different product ideas that the guys at amzscout have sourced for you. We'll be assessing those and running through the key metrics that you need to look at whenever you're doing your product research. And hopefully, as we're going through that, you'll learn the type of things and criteria that I think about when I'm assessing whether a product that I've just found is any good. Before we jump into that though, I have some good news, some exciting news. This Thursday evening, in the UK and the US, I am going to be live streaming a webinar. It's going to be co-hosted with the guys at amzscout, and we're going to be running through my 5-step blueprint to Amazon FBA success, the exact blueprint that I have followed time and time again to create a 7-figure business that recently achieved results like this. So the webinar is completely free, and it's also going to be running through 5 other different product ideas for you to research further. It's going to be a lot of fun. So register for it using the free link below this video, and I will see you guys there. So without further ado, let's jump into the computer and let's look at these 5 different ideas that amzscout sent across. So as mentioned, these 5 product ideas have come from amzscout, and they've come from a service that those guys run called Sellerhook. Now, Sellerhook is a paid for plan where you can basically pay for a team of professionals to do product research on your behalf. All you need to do is specify what type of price point you want your product to sit in, what categories you want it to be placed in on Amazon, and any other criteria that you think is relevant. So you can see with this report that the guys sent me earlier today, they've found me 5 different products, and they found those products within home and kitchen, sports and outdoors, toys and games, health and household, and patio, lawn and garden. And those were categories that I specified because generally they are beginner friendly categories. And when I say beginner friendly, what I basically mean is that those categories don't really have products in that require you to get authorization or permission or submit lots of documents. They're typically just hassle-free categories that have products that anybody can sell. So categories, those are the ones that I chose. Price range, now it's the price point that you sell products at, it comes down to your preference. A strategy that I've seen a number of people following lately is to sell products at a higher price point, i.e. $30 to $100, because it means that you need to sell less of them in order to generate a certain amount of profit when compared to much lower priced items instead. So this is entirely up to you. The only downside I'd say of selling products that retail at $100 is you may not have the budget to afford them. So products that cost $100 on Amazon will probably cost $20 to $30 or more from a supplier. And in this kind of economic climate where people are a little more strapped for cash, you might find that the demand is a little lower than historically. But that's the whole reason we use amzscout's tools, isn't it? To assess the demand and see if that is true. So that was the price criteria. Then I obviously specified demand. I said the products that you find and suggest need to have demand. And I said a minimum of $3,000 per month in revenues. Now that figure there, just like this one here, is going to come down to your preference and your goals. My rule of thumb when thinking of a minimum amount of demand to see is 3 times your monthly profit goal. And that just basically is linked to products having a profit margin on average of around 30% before ads on Amazon. So when you are thinking of minimum demand levels that you need to see on Amazon, think of how much you want to earn per month. And in my case, $1,000 times it by 3, $3,000. That is what you need to see when you're running your amzscout tool. Okay, so that's what the guys at Sellerhook and amzscout used or had in mind when looking for products. And then competition, obviously, I said it needs to be light to medium and basically have opportunities for me to differentiate and stand out from the crowd. So those were my criteria. The guys at AMZ Scout went away and they found me 5 products which you guys are welcome to explore further. What I will say is don't just take whatever I say as gospel, because things change on Amazon on a daily basis. Look at each product in detail, do your own research, and then assess whether you think you've got a good chance of stealing competitors' sales and becoming a top seller. But regardless of whether you use these ideas or not, you can certainly use them as stepping stones to find other product niches, or just using my live analysis as a tutorial of the different things that you guys need to do when doing your research too. So without further ado, let's go into the first product recommended by AMZ Scout. Okay, so product number 1 is a frozen smoothie cup, and this is how AMZ Scouts reports are laid out. So they've got the product idea number 1 at the top, and they say the reason that they liked this niche is that it has very high sales in the period that they assessed, April to September. It's small sized and lightweight, which is great because it means that you can have low fulfillment costs, you'll have low storage costs, and you'll have low transportation costs. And if worse comes to worse, if you sell out all of your stock and you're desperate to get more in, you can ship them by air. Air is typically the most expensive method, and it's a lot more expensive if your product is bulky and heavy. So this product here is small sized and lightweight, so cheap to ship. And the third reason they liked it is there are no big brands in the niche. Now, that is also important to check whenever you're verifying any product on Amazon, because ideally you don't want to be competing with the huge brands like Nike, Apple, and so on, because those guys will have huge advertising budgets. They'll have brand dominance, which means that customers will already have them in mind. And because of that, competition will be high and profitability low. So those are the 3 initial kind of ideas that AMZ Scout had. They've got some more further down here, but what I think would be more interesting for you is if we look at that niche now on Amazon and decide for ourselves. The first thing you'll need to do is head on to Amazon and type in the name of the product that has been found, let it load, and then the first thing that you'll need to check is that all of the results are actually relevant. And that's important because if you don't check that and you start looking at demand figures, you might be looking at a completely different niche without realizing it. So let's have a quick skim down. We can see the keyword frozen smoothie cup is indeed relevant, and all of the products are actually matching what was in AMZ Scout's little picture, which is a good start. Now, one thing that's kind of striking me as I'm scrolling down is that all of these pictures of the smoothie cups look identical, don't they? So the first kind of flag that's going in my mind is this should be a niche that's quite easy to stand out in. If you can do something different, if you can get a unique design, or a new design that's not currently on Amazon, you've already got a leg up in the door. So once you've checked that all of the results are relevant, you then need to double check what the demand is, making sure that the sales demand on Amazon is actually sufficiently high. So if we now click on AMZ Scout's toolbar, it will load their extension up, and you can get that toolbar for free from amzscout.net. So the first thing that I'm going to be looking at are the sales, this column here, and the revenues. And you can see if our minimum target is $3,000 revenue per month, you can see that all of these sellers are actually making that. Now, you don't need to see all of the sellers making that. You need to see a minimum of 5, I would say. So we can see here, can't we? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's tons of sellers here making more than enough. So that's got the demand point checked. Now, the next thing that I would want to have a quick look at are the margin levels. So we can see that after Amazon fees, you've still got a comfortable amount, a comfortable profit margin to allocate to stock costs. Now, stock costs, in my experience, will typically come to 20 to 30% of your sales price. So if you deduct 30% from the net margin here, which is after Amazon's fees, you can see that it does indeed come to around a 30% profit margin before ads. And if you remember from what I said earlier, 30% profit margin is what you are ideally targeting. The next thing that you'll want to check is the average price point. Now, the reason that I'm pointing this out is that you'll remember within our AMZ Scout report, we said that we wanted to target products priced between $30 and $100. But look at this, it's saying here the average price is $37. But if we actually look at the data in a bit of detail, you can see that most of these products are priced under that, which isn't a problem, but it's just not accurate, is it, that we see that the average price is 37. And the reason that has happened is if you scroll down, you can see that this product here, a mini margarita size slush frozen drink machine, is priced $750. That is not relevant. It is not a product that we are looking to sell. So if that happens to you, make sure that you press the cross, which is located here. So press the cross, take it out, and you can see the average price point has come up somewhat. I'd be willing to bet that there are a couple more. Yeah, there's another one here, some frozen smoothie maker. You need to make sure that you're taking all of those out so that the results that you've got are indeed relevant. So that's the kind of checks that you need to do. You need to check the demand, you need to check the price point. And one other thing that I thought of when I was just flicking through here is, as I mentioned, all of the colors are the same. They're all blue. They all look the same. There's nothing that really stands out about these. But what also is quite interesting is the review count, or review score rather. All of these are scoring pretty poorly, so less than 5 stars. So what I would be doing if I were you is diving into this, going into the reviews and taking a look and seeing what they say. So if we scroll down to the reviews for this product in particular and then look at the 1 stars, you can actually see that the things that people are complaining about are all things that we would easily be able to improve ourselves. So you've got all 4 boxes were a mess and one of the cups was damaged. So you'd have reinforced packaging and probably just attractive packaging rather than blank generic one. Not much liquid could fit into the cup, so you would research that. You could probably buy some samples and make sure that yours were bigger. And then the cup broke, so it's obviously poor quality. So again, you'd have to put it through rigorous testing. So those are the type of things that you should be doing. In addition to that, what I would also recommend, and AMZ Scout actually do this, is they provide you with the sales history over time. And I'll quickly show you how you can do that yourself. I'm not going to do it for every single product because otherwise we will be here all day. But you basically will run AMZ Scout just like we did before. And once that's loaded, you can either press niche history here at the top, which will show you the sales over time according to the entire niche. And what I would recommend you to do is do that initially, but then subsequent to that, dive into individual products. The reason being that you might have irrelevant products in the mix that are spoiling it, just like we had with that slushy maker earlier. So once you've done that and you can kind of see how seasonal or trending it is, instead you can just click one of the products here and then click onto product history and then basically take a look at what the results show. So this one here, let's have a look over the last 2 months. It's the purple, it's the orange line that you want to be paying attention to. And you can see at some points they go to 0, which indicates that their stock levels ran out. So in that case, have a look at a couple of other listings in order to assess the seasonality and trending levels of demand. So that's the general thought process that I would follow when doing an initial verification of products. So assessing the demand, checking the price point is right, checking the reviews and what they're saying and so on, and just generally looking at the niche to see if there are any opportunities to stand out, e.g. if all of the hero images, the product images look the same. So let's now look through the other ideas that AMZ Scout provided to us. In number idea slot 2, we've got football leg sleeve for children. So this is something, again, that is lightweight and small. There's no big brands that dominate this niche, and it's a relatively low competition one. In addition to that, if you think outside the box, these leg sleeves, they're not going to be seasonal, are they? Because kids will need these sleeves whenever they injure themselves playing sport, which is all year round. I would imagine that this type of product is very cheap to manufacture, which you can verify on Alibaba. And generally, I think that this type of product here is the type of niche that you could build a brand around. So you could sell arm sleeves, you could sell anything for sports injuries. That's basically the kind of process of thought that you should get into when you're thinking about branding products and private labeling. So we've also got more analysis from the AMZ Scout guys here. They do also run their own tool and give you the sales data, but I would actually say it's worth doing it yourself just to verify, because this can change every single day. You can also see the trend of sales growing over time. So that is the child sleeve niche, something that I have never even thought of before. Next up, for idea number 3, we've got a wine bottle insulator. So the AMZ Scout guys like this because the niche had a very high amount of revenue. If you look here, you can see the average monthly revenue is $45,000. But of course, remember to verify that. When looking through the listings, so the competition, they found that they were poor quality, had spelling mistakes, and the brand names sucked. All things that you guys can verify yourself when doing your own product research and improve upon. And the third reason they like this is that it's customizable. It's a product that you can very easily customize. So you can create your own branding. You can change the color of the container that it's in. You could probably offer multiple variations. So basically selling these insulators for different types of bottles. You could probably even sell them for champagne bottles as well. The limits are endless. So if we now scroll down to look at the sales price history tracker, you can see that generally it's looking nice and it's trending upwards, particularly around Christmas. So that means it's a giftable product, which is another tick in my essential or nice to have criteria. Idea number 4 is a Gel Blaster Gellet Depot. Now this is where the benefit of having somebody else do the product research for you really pays off, because this product is something I've never heard of, and to be honest, until I just looked it up, I had no idea what it was. So basically it seems like it's like a bullet container for kids' guns that they play with in the US. Who knows? It's not something that's very popular in the UK as far as I'm aware. But the guys at AMZ Scout like it because it's a pretty new niche, and because of that, it's not saturated, and there's a lot of scope to do a decent bit of branding and expand the range. And from what they could see, the sales in this niche are quickly accelerating. So this is currently priced at $20. The only downside that I can see from looking into it is it looks a little bit bulky, so you would have to get it shipped by sea, but that's not the end of the world. Of course, there are tons of products on Amazon that are bulky that make the sellers a lot of money, so don't let that put you off. Being lightweight and small is just a bit of a nice to have. So if we dive into AMZ Scout's toolbar, you can see here for Gel Blaster Gellet Depot, the average monthly revenue is over $90,000, which is crazy. And interestingly, they've got the average price here of $47, but further up, they had it at $19.89. So I'm not quite sure why there's a difference there. That's something that you'd have to research further. It could just be a different model. But like I say, with these reports, whenever somebody does research on your behalf, don't take it at face value. You need to look at their ideas, dive into it further, and understand the reasons that they think it's a good product and whether you agree with it. Idea number 5 is a face flower pot, which again is something that is relatively new to Amazon. It seems that when you assess the sales demand, that this is ticking upwards. So it's a niche that's growing in popularity, hence why AMZ Scout likes it. Now, one of the reasons that I like this kind of type of product, gardening is because there's a lot of scope for you to do some good branding, expand to lots of different garden ornaments and products, and basically take over an entire niche. That is what I've done with my brand, one of the brands that I made. I started with one product and I've expanded it to an entire range within the same area. And that is the secret to success with Amazon. Once you make a good brand and you start selling a product that gets a bit of popularity, the easiest thing that you can do is start launching adjacent products that are similar. So that's why I kind of like this vase flower pot. I think there's a lot of scope to build out the brand and get customers to keep coming back and buying from you. And if we look at the sales figures from amzscout, you can see the revenue figures are over $11,000 with an average price point of $20 here. So you'd be making a decent amount. With on an average of $11,000, you're probably looking at least $2,000 or $3,000 of profit. Now, when I started this video, I didn't quite anticipate it going on so long, which is why I've kind of skipped over that. But if you want to learn more and you've got plenty of time to allocate to Amazon FBA, remember I'm doing my live webinar this Thursday. I'm going to be giving you 5 more product ideas to look at, but more importantly, I'm going to be taking the process of Amazon FBA and breaking it down step by step into 5 specific points, little milestones that you should tackle if you want to essentially follow in my footsteps. So register for that. The link is in the description below. Let me know if any questions, and I'll look forward to seeing you there.